Welcome to the Run of Play podcast hosted by myself, Tre Anderson, and Jimmy George, founder of Electric City FC and executive director of Casa Pride. Today, we're going to be going over some local soccer teams, some high schools in the area, some different clubs in the area, different levels of play, as well as styles that we see around our local upstate game, and some players that are having breakout seasons and looking to build and grow from this area. The first segment that we're going to go into is just kind of a local high school soccer update. We are going to discuss some of the Anderson, Clemson, Seneca teams, and then we'll kind of move into the Greenville area as well. So the first one, Coach, I mean, obviously you coach at Teal Hanna High School. You get to see firsthand some of this stuff. I mean, you guys are having a great season yourself. So what can you tell us about some of the storylines that are going around in the upstate right now?
I mean, obviously, being at Teal Hanna, we play in 5A. One of the toughest regions in the state. We get to see the best of the best day in and day out, night in and night out. What's cool about the opportunity is that we have JL Man, which they didn't lose a game last year, and they just lost last night. So that's a huge storyline brewing right now, that you have the #1 team in all the state of South Carolina getting beat last night by Greenville High School, which is a great win for Greenville in overtime. And then you have other storylines like Daniel High School. They've been in the state championship 4 years in a row. Now, how are they going to rebound after coming off a couple losses early in the year? Are they going to be able to continue that map to the championship road? That's a big storyline for me that I would like to see. Regarding Teal Hanna, I mean, we're 6-2 right now. Doing really well. We dropped one against Easley, which I felt like was something that we just got punched in the mouth, and we'll see how everything goes. Because, like I said, every game is a tough night, and you can't have a night off like we had against Easley.
Yeah, I mean, so are there any teams that you're seeing in the upstate this year that are a little bit stronger than maybe you expected them to come out to be?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I haven't got to see a ton of teams quite yet. One of the local teams that I thought has started off, maybe not got the results they wanted, but is a solid group, is Seneca High School. Good group. They're gritty. Have some Casa kids on their team. Have a couple other players from Oconee United. So they're trying to rebuild that program back to where it used to be. It used to be a dominant 3A school. So I'm looking forward to seeing them grow and continue to have some success. I know they've lost last night to Daniel, but it was a good game, I heard. So for me, it's just about looking around and seeing what everybody has to offer. I'll tell you another school people better keep their eyes open for is Pendleton. Pendleton High School has a really good group of boys that play with each other at Casa as well. They're coached by Austin Rose, and they knocked off Daniel in scrimmage, even though they lost to Powdersville, which is another powerhouse program in the upper state. So I think Pendleton will be somebody that people need to watch in 3A as well.
So on any of those teams, are there any specific players, or even in this area, are there any specific players that are just having breakout seasons this year?
I mean, you have Powdersville, you have Brody Pike, who just committed to UAB. Kid's a flat stud, good, solid player. You have obviously Smith Darby, reigning Gatorade Player of the Year. But as far as like a true breakout or somebody just coming out of nowhere, I haven't really been able to see that quite yet. It's not been long enough in the season for me to be able to put a name on that yet.
Is there any player on your Hanna team that you want to give a shout out that they've just been playing out of their mind recently?
I have a couple kids. Obviously Caleb Hughes has been scoring a bunch of goals for us. I think he has 8 on the year. But the biggest surprise for us right now is Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby is our goalkeeper. Didn't get any minutes last year on varsity. We had Dax Grunts as our goalkeeper. So him coming in this year is his keys to the kingdom. He made a huge save in a penalty last night to preserve the win. In a penalty kick shootout earlier in the year and easily at our preseason tournament. He came up large there. So that's probably one of the biggest breakouts I could say from a personal perspective. T. Hannah, our goalkeeper, Jack Kirby's been exceptional.
So obviously with you being a coach at both the club level and the upstate, at the UPSL level in this area and the high school level, you get to see a lot of the different trends and tactics that happen, that come about. In the upstate specifically, speaking about high school, what tactical trends are appearing locally more often now?
Kick and run. I mean, uh, high school soccer is all about launching the ball, uh, being physical, being quick, and effort. I mean, to me, it's little to do with soccer. I think the way we talk about it is like I have a coach, Raven actually, he talks about it. Or Richard McConnell actually brought it. So it's a game of 50-50 balls. You roll the ball out there, and whoever wins the 50-50 ball is more or less going to win the game. That's pretty much what high school soccer is. Not many people put the ball on the deck and play. I will say Malden, tries to put the ball down and play. J.O. Mann tries to put the ball down and play. There are some other teams like Wando, from the lower part of the state, and some other teams like Stratford, Ashley Ridge from the lower part of the state that actually put the ball on the deck and try to knock it around and try to be able to create and build up. But mainly it's win ball, boot ball, and throw-ins and punts. That's what I've seen mostly all season so far.
Yeah, I mean, when you're getting these kids out of high school and they're coming to play for you in club, like we have at Casa, we have 3 teams going to nationals, and these kids are coming out of their high school teams. What is the mindset of a coach trying to break them from the idea of this big play the big ball and get somebody fast down on the other end to let's play good soccer and go compete for a national championship?
Well, out of 2 out of the 3 teams that will have a difficulty with that because they will be coming out of high school. That is the tactics of high school. Our 2012 boys, they're still playing in the spring, so we won't have to deal with that as much, even though some of those kids are still playing some JV soccer. But it takes time. I mean, you have to, try to get a little bit of that out of them, be a little bit patient with them, and kind of get them back to, build up, playing through the middle of the pitch, looking to switch the point of attack, trying to find our high targets, breaking lines, things like that is like, it's all going to come down to a month of training and, grind that out once the season's over. And then in July, we'll head on to Denver, Colorado and see what we got.
So when it comes to recruiting now, I mean, in this day and age, we see a lot of colleges leaning more towards transfer players. We see them leaning more towards international players, especially for soccer. How can a high school player set themselves apart when it comes to speaking with college coaches or trying to get recruited?
Now, the biggest thing that kids need to do nowadays is reach out, email, be persistent. A lot of kids want to just text or email. You need to make a phone call. You need to put an introduction in. You need to put a face in front of the coach. You need to be persistent. You need to email. But the biggest thing that kids aren't doing right now, or excuse me, that clubs aren't doing for kids is that there's no coaches following up for them. These kids are left on an island. And the parents are left on an island given no communication, no information on what the process is. And to be honest with you, you see basketball, you see football, and it's this glorified recruiting process, and soccer is not like that. It's a dirty world just because you have internationals coming in and taking time away from American kids. You have clubs like CISA and other kids that have ECNL that, they're paying for that label instead of really being, colleges need to open their eyes and see like Johnny might be over here that can't afford $5,000 or $6,000 a year, but just as good as the kid that is paying to play ECNL that are getting recruited. a lot of players outside of that ECNL market are getting overlooked. And that's why I feel like we do a good job at Castle, because we put our hand on the kid, we make the phone calls, we make the connections with the player, with the parent. And that's what sets us apart right now is we're taking the time to really try to, take stake into the player instead of just taking their money and putting it in our pocket. We're actually trying to press it forward, because the biggest thing is if the kid we want kids to get educations, and if it can be through the game, I mean that would be awesome, and that'd be a goal or a win for our club and for that player.
So, I mean, that's a perfect segue into there's been a lot of changes recently in the U.S. soccer pyramid, with U.S. Club combining with USYS for this new comp that they're pushing out and here in next year. So, how does the new age matrix affect that, and B, how does that affect recruiting for these bigger clubs, and even especially for the smaller clubs?
The age matrix things, I took over CASA 10 years ago, and it was the first year of the age matrix where they changed from what we're getting ready to what we are now. It was grade level. Now it was grade level. Now it's going into birth year. Now they're going back to grade level. I think grade level is the right move because you have players playing in the same age, growing up together. I do feel like in like U12 and below, they should keep it at birth year because you can grow the numbers, get the number larger in the academy ages. But the pyramids is a tough situation right now. You have ECNL making a play for being the top of the pyramid. I feel like that's just a facade. I feel like MLS is the way to go for me. That's what my mindset is. I feel like the MLS next and the MLS programming is where the U.S. soccer will be heading in the future. I think ECNL is just making a really big push for that. But I personally think ECNL is going away in the next 5 years. People laugh at me, and people can laugh. That's fine. But 5 years from now, we'll sit here and have this same conversation, and we'll see where the landscape is. Because you look at it, MLS is growing. They want to do promotion and relegation. They have the money. They have the means. They have the backing of everything. And ECNL is a different entity. It's its own entity. They're trying to grow it themselves and try to have their own. They're trying to control their own little market. And I just feel like that. In the next couple years, you're going to see a big, massive swing again into the U.S. soccer, where you'll see ECNL start dropping down or just go to girls only like they started. That's what people don't understand. ECNL was the girls only program, and then it brought so much money in and it grew so large that they put the boys in. Now it's a battle. It's split 50-50, and again, it goes back to our recruiting process. That's why U.S. soccer kids aren't getting recruited as much, because they have watered down the market with all these leagues, period.
So straight up, when it comes to your stance, is there a difference in the level of player that plays for, let's say, an ECNL, ECRL team or a UPSL, NAL team like that? Is there a difference in level?
ECNL has better players at this moment in time normally. ECRL, no. ECRL is the equivalent of NAL, MPL, and they're going to say no. Well, they wouldn't have merged them together if that wasn't the case. It is. There's some ECRL teams that are better than ECL teams in some programs, because in our state, the ECNL is a good group, but it's not predominantly dominant. And I would say that goes to our state organization, and I say it goes to our numbers of kids playing. So, Trey, honestly, I don't believe in putting a patch on your arm and saying you're better than anybody. I believe in going out on the pitch and proving it. So, I came from very minimal. So I didn't have this opportunity to go play at these letters on your arm. So we had to actually earn our way the right way. And 12 of my 18 players played Division I soccer. So I think we did it the right way. And that's what we're trying to do at CASA, to do it the right way and not have to chase status.
So do you think the team-based promotion is going to be overall good for U.S. soccer, that's what they're moving to for this new comp?
I think team-based will be better overall for the landscape of soccer over club-based. The reason being is club-based for me is it goes off your name of your club. It goes off the history of your club, the number of kids in your club. Team-based is just, if you're good enough, you're going to move on. If you're not good enough, you won't move on. And that's the way it should be. When we were coming up, or when I was coming up in the late 80s, they didn't have all these levels of play. You had one team in each age group, and if you were good enough, you made it. And they did U12, U14, U16, U18. So you had two ages in one age group per se. And if you weren't good enough, you didn't play. You got to go back and play at the Y or play pickup and get better and then try out again next year. I feel like that's where they're trying to go back to, is giving mid-tier clubs like us more opportunity to be able to just showcase our players in our community.
So when it comes to the idea of development and player development, I mean, obviously at our club, we're having the discussions. Do you think it's more important when it comes to these young ages to just get them out playing, or is it more important to get with these personal trainers that you're seeing become so popular and stuff like that? Which do you say is more important when it comes to young player development?
I think under the age of 12, individual training's stupid. I think it's a money grab. I think you're paying for other people's hobbies. I mean, you have kids out there that want to be good, but you're making them robots. I mean, the kids aren't like. So, for example, we're at a game last night. How often do you see kids throw shoes out there for goals and go play? At a game last night, I saw Malden High School's JV drop 4 shoes and they're playing in the end zone. I stopped and I was like, this doesn't happen enough. This should happen more. We use water coolers, shoes, shirts. Everything now has to be organized. Got to have a coach. I got to have a field. I got to have a team. Nah, man, you should be playing 3v3, 5v5 pickup repetitively from 7 to 11. 12, we should be becoming a little bit more structured. 12, you can start introducing tactics. But I don't think you should even talk about tactics before. You need to teach them how to pass, dribble, shoot, bring the ball down. I think you should introduce heading with a volleyball, beach ball, something. I mean, you look at it. We just got through talking about it. We're playing high school sports. They're knocking the ball 80 yards. And some of these kids are only 2 to 3 years into heading. And that's why the balls are bouncing. That's why the soccer is poor. Is because the kids don't know the techniques of how to do things. They're being held back to a degree. And I think we could be teaching these kids smaller things earlier, and then letting them play rather than individual training and just burning them out. Taking the love of the game away from the kid at an early age.
Have you seen more burnout in these past couple of years as a coach for players?
When they get to the older ages, yeah, they're like, hey, I've been training. I train 3 days a week. I trained 2 days a week with my individual trainer, or 1 day a week with my individual trainer, 2 hours, and then go play at a local 5v5 or some indoor league or some other thing as well, which that's what they should be doing more of and less of the individual training. And they get to 16 years old and they're like, they get a girlfriend or they get a boyfriend. Sports become secondary, and everything that they work towards and their parents have pushed for goes out the window. That's happening a lot.
All right, moving right along, let's talk about Electric City. I mean, that's the reason that we're here. Obviously, as you can see, we've got all these logos back here. Let's talk about your expectations for the season for both the Premier team and the Division One team.
Oh man, what a great year we had last year, being able to kick this thing off, having one season. We had the Division One team. They ended up winning the regular season and the playoffs. So blessed about the community support and everything. This year's a little bit different. We're moving up into the Premier level. The expectation of winning, I say, comes down, and the expectation of opportunity goes up. I think that we're dipping down in our community more, bringing more high school players into the mix this season to give them more opportunity to be seen and show that they can play against older players, so we can help them with the recruiting facet. But the expectation this year on the D1 team is to, like I said, give our younger under 21 players lots of opportunity to play and have exposure and be able to make a difference in our youth. In the Premier level, it's more about giving some of our older players that may be fifth-year seniors or at the last limbs of their career a good experience. But more importantly than that, it goes back to maybe impacting one of the younger players in our club or in our community, give them some hope, give them some motivation to be better, to grow more as a player, or to represent their community. However we can do that, that's kind of the expectation of the season. I know that's probably not what most people are really wanting to hear. They're probably wanting me to say, "Hey man, raise the cup." Not trying to raise really any trophies. I'm not a trophy chaser. I'm more of an opportunity chaser. So this is mainly purely this year is about dipping our toe into the Premier Division, seeing what we're capable of in our community, and then giving our younger players lots of opportunities so they can be recruited and or transfer from another school.
So last year we had 5 or 6 different players get a second chance in their soccer career or a first chance in getting to sign with colleges. How do you take those players when they come back, and are you asking them to take a leadership role with this U21 team in practices? Are you asking them to help in the recruiting process, or are you letting the coaches kind of handle that?
We're wanting the players to be involved with each other as much as possible. I am pushing our older players, like Jared Peterson. I think he's like 27. He's our captain. He's one of our older players. Juan Carlos, he's like 30, one of our older players. We're pushing them to put their hand on players, to encourage them, to help them or guide them through certain situations. We have like 15 high school players this year, and last year we only had like 2, 3. So we have like 15 this year. So we're really wanting them to kind of guide them through, help them, encourage them. Coaches don't see everything. Players, when they're out there playing with them, they pick up their tendencies, they pick up their habits by playing with them. So we're using that as an opportunity for them to coach the players to coach the players. So I think that's huge. I think that's big. I think you can be motivated more by your peer than you can by a coach at times. You can be challenged more by your peer than you can by a coach at times. So we're really trying to focus and utilize that a lot. We had one kid, like last year, we had Alex Hand play with us. Alex went on to CISA, played in ECRL. He actually signed at Presbyterian. He plays at Wade Hampton High School. He's coming back to play with us. We're going to use his experience by playing last year, this year, by helping some of the high school players that didn't play last year, guide them through, give them some experience or some conversation and some advice on how to handle certain situations, because it's a different environment. You're playing older people, more physical, quicker pace. You know, the kids are going to have to utilize their brain a little bit more. They're going to have to utilize each other a bit more to get out of certain situations. So we're going to really count on the players to be able to help the players.
So when it comes to speaking on players, when it comes to, there's no recruiting in the UPSL per se. So when these kids are coming in and they are looking for that opportunity, what are some of the key differences that you're talking to them about during training, at tryouts, to help them kind of understand what UPSL is all about?
Mainly trying to implement our tactics. You know, everybody's coming from all different walks of life, all different styles of play, all over the country. I mean, that's what's cool about this is you have kids from Africa, Scotland, Ireland, England, America, and bringing all those cultures together. That's what the game is so beautiful about. And I think that's the hardest thing is getting them to implement and buying into what you're trying to sell, whether it be, hey, we're going to be very possession oriented. Are we going to transition? Or are we going to be a transitional team? Are we going to be a direct team? Are we going to be somebody that sits back? Are we going to be somebody that presses? Things like that. I think that's the most difficult thing is getting the whole group to buy in on the process that we're trying to implement. Because, again, it goes back to a lot of the coaches in our area don't coach like we coach. They don't want the same brand we want to put out. You know, we want to be different. I think that's what's cool about us, and I think that's what makes us different at CASA is we're actually trying to put together a product and build a brand rather than, you know, just play the game.
So, again, perfect little segue here. What is Electric City's style of play and team identity?
Well, last year we played a 4-3-3. We're very possession oriented. We will be patient. We like to, you know, get the ball out wide. We like to have our creative players be able to take players on out wide. This year we're going to change our tactics up. We're going to play a little bit different style of play, which the boys are struggling with a little bit because it's not normal. I have players asking me right now to send me information, and I was like, there's not a lot of information. We're taking one formation, we're tweaking it, and we're making it our own. We're changing we're changing a formation and making it different. So, you know, but to get just to be a basis of it, we're going to really knock the ball around. We're going to play we're going to be very technical in tight areas. We're going to look to switch the point of attack. We're going to look to try to get our players out wide and be able to give them opportunities to be creative and be dynamic. But we're also going to be a little bit more transitional this year. We're going to play a little bit more defensive this year just because we're playing in the premier level. We're not experienced as much in that premier level. We're going to have a lot of young players playing against a lot of older men. So we're going to have to be organized. We're going to have to be disciplined. We're going to have to be able to defend really well. And with that, we're going to have to be able to transition to attack, and we're going to have to be efficient. And then when it's not on, we're going to have to be able to drop back and be able to keep it. And I think that's what, you know, what's cool, what people are going to really enjoy is when we're wide open, we're going to be wide open going at goal. And then, you know, and then we're going to give them a beautiful display of being able to keep it in certain aspects, in certain moments, in certain parts of the field.
Is there any new players or returning players that are leading the charge in understanding the tactics and helping the younger players at practice?
Man, we have a lot of new players. It's I really thought we would have a large group of the older players coming back, but the older players, a lot of them went and played USL too. That's what we want them to do. we want to, again, it's about bridging and giving them opportunity and giving them chance to go to a better level of play. USL 2 for a college player is better than UPSL because, you're around other college players, you're in a professional environment, you're training 5 days a week, maybe 6 days a week. I mean, it's, very focused. But we have a lot of new players. We have a ton of kids from North Greenville that are graduate players. We have like Nicholas Vital from New York. We have Caio Ferreira from Brazil. We have Ethan Jane. Those 3 players right there are doing like individual training work at CASA just to help out with our youth. And they're taking a huge leadership role inside with our younger, just our academy players, not only our players at CASA, but mainly it's been Jared, it's been Rain, it's been Juan Carlos, it's been Daniel Streifler, it's been that group of players that were here last year that know what we're about and the family that it stands for, and the love that we have from each other. They're really trying to cast that net over the rest of the group. And, for me, Trey, that it's about family. It's about knowing you have someone when maybe you don't. I mean, these kids are coming from all different walks of life. Like I said, you have those 3 players right there from a different country and over here with nobody. So if we can give them some sense of home, some sense of love, some sense of security, and that's what ECSC stands for.
Yeah, I mean, that obviously being around the team, being around the club, being around you, that's all that you feel in the atmosphere when you come to these games. And that's obviously this brand that we want to cultivate is when you come to Electric City games, you are part of our family. We are going to treat you that way. And so I think that hearing you say that, I mean, that's just, that is what people should understand about Electric City.
100%.
So moving on, I mean, I think this segment is going to be what everybody is watching to hear. Give me your number one hot take when it comes to the game in the States, the game in our area, or just the game in general.
Well, everybody knows, Trey, I'm going to give it to you real. That's why a lot of people don't really get down with me as much, because they ask me a question, I give it to you real. The hottest take I gave you is ECNL is getting ready to go away. ECNL is going to go away. That's my hot take of the day. I feel like MLS Next was going to take over ECNL. And everybody will giggle about it and everybody will laugh about it. And I could be wrong, and I've been wrong before. But I think that's the hottest take that I could do today. The other thing I could say is I feel like for the American player right now, with the way our country is right now, I'm going to step on a limb of politics for a second. In the area that our country is going, this could be an opportunity, the best opportunity for American players to take control of college soccer back. It's going to be harder to get in crossing our borders. Our colleges are going to struggle going outside of the United States of America and getting players and bringing them in. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate because there's a lot of good people that are going to get wrapped up into this. And I don't want to get into politics, but I'm going to say, I would say that's my second hot take is I think the American boys and girls, they have a year, maybe 2 years of the best chance to make an impact in college soccer and it be American bred.
Do you believe that semi-professional is the way to set yourself apart as a high school player right now?
I think that if you're not trying to put yourself in different environments and only doing high school, you are falling behind. MLS Next. This is the reason why MLS Next hasn't taken over yet. They don't allow people to play high school. If they were to lift that, UCNL's gone. Gone.
Why do they not lift it?
That to me, I don't know. That's why some of the MLS Next 2 teams are better than the MLS Next teams, because these 2 teams, they get to play high school. The MLS Next does not. They want to, keep them to themselves. It's very much of a more professional environment. You're pretty much, owned by that entity. Which I mean, I'm not for that. I don't believe in that. I think kids should be able to. I think you have, let's say, a CISA kid. CISA kid season over, and they want to come, and they should be able to have an opportunity to go play with another group in another tournament, because if we're doing it for the player and the kid, why are we keeping them from having opportunity to be seen? Because at the end of the day, Trey, if you play at CISA and I play at John Doe Academy, and season's over, you come play with me and you sign, you're going to still say CISA. That's the point I don't understand, and I don't want to make this about CISA or anything, but I'm just saying, I'm just using them as, because they're the largest, the most powerful club in our upper state. So I'm just saying for them, because they do control the player to where, they have the most power over there. So I just think if we're in it for the kid, we should be giving them more opportunity, whether it be here, there, or anywhere.
So when it comes to the player, I mean, that is, in America right now, that's where the talk is. I mean, it's all about, are we developing players, or are we just out here making money both as club coaches, as club directors? I mean,
we're out here making money.
And is that where
we're out here making money?
How do you get away from that? How do you?
You got to cut some of these dudes making 6 digits. Come on, man. 6 digits? You can't justify that.
I mean, when it comes to a club like, let's talk about Surf. Surf, I was looking into them. They have clubs all up and down the coast. I mean, when it comes to a club like that, are you not more surprised that they don't go out and get a corporate sponsor to pay for their whole academy? Are you not more surprised that these clubs aren't taking these different options to maybe provide a little bit of extra support?
Well, man, you're knocking on one of the most powerful clubs in the United States, Surf. They have some of the best teams and clubs and players in America. I don't know what they do. I would say they probably have immense amount of sponsorship. Again, I don't want to knock over here, but they have a lot of sponsorship up in Greenville. I mean, they have tons and tons of sponsorship. But again, look at it like this. Greenville County gives you those fields, yeah? You go over there and you try to use those fields. They're going to kick you off of them. But it's the taxpayer money paying for it. I'm going to give you all the hot takes now. I'm going to give them all, because I'm going to really rile them up over there. But that's what it is. You're kicking people off. You can't even do anything over there. But we're saying we're here for the player.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't it be better if players were playing outside of the structure?
That's all new. I mean, for me, Trey, I just feel like I didn't play in a large club. And I played against players that were in the World Cup, were the first pick of the MLS draft, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't have to play for a large club. To be honest with you, there was 2 teams in my club. 2. You don't need all that. All you need is that's what America's going back to. If your team's good, your team will get exposure. That's the beauty of what they're doing right now. That's the only thing I can say. Great job, U.S. Soccer. You have made it to where if you keep pushing the envelope where it's team-based and it's about how the team performs, you've done your job.
does that make it more enticing to, step away from maybe some of the smaller leagues led by other organizations and just try your best as a club to qualify for these new comps? Or does the development that the lower level leagues provide for the younger age groups, or is that?
I think you got to go, again, I'll give them their due. They have so many players, the better players go there. Excuse me. And if you're good, you want to play with good players. That's what we're trying to create here in our community, is we're trying to keep our players in our community and grow our community. And I think that's what is important to me and CASA, and is because we do have players that come from Greenville and Hartwell and other players, but our club is our community and we want to represent our community. I don't want players from our community to be able to say, CASA doesn't have the proper level of play, I got to go do this. That is why we have been, 6 years it took us building our levels. The last 4 years, we've been making enough noise to be able to start getting into some of these leagues that we've been told we'll never make. Like when I took this job over, we were told we would never win a state championship in the Premier Division. We were told we would never be a Premier team. We were told we were never going to be able to play in all these other prestigious tournaments. I'm not going to go over our resume over here, but I can say there's not one club in the upper state of South Carolina, other than CISA, that has more state championships than CASA. That's Furman, that's CFC, that's all them, and we haven't even played in the state in 2 years. Just in 10 years, we have more than they have in 30 years. So what I'm telling you, and what people don't get is like everything that we've been doing has been paying off for our community and our players.
So, the community. It's what this is all about, both at the club side and at the UPSL side. So, this community, what makes upstate soccer so special? We were talking about it before the recording here, that, 5 of the top 10 in the state come out of the upper state?
Yeah.
Are on TL Hanna's schedule. For high school soccer, what makes this area so special?
The history of the upper state, because I only can talk about my experience. When I was coming up, we used our local YMCA, and that's how a club was formed. First, it started as Anderson Kickers. That tells you where, the Anderson Kickers is where it started. And then we played at the Anderson YMCA, and we had the rest of our players played at Clemson YMCA. And we had a coach named Tony Stevens. He went around, he started handpicking players. And that's what kind of made it special for me, is because the Anderson Kickers kind of started things and gave us an opportunity to kind of see that you could play the sport and not just play through the Y. You could play at different levels. And then you had St. Giles in Greenville, which is now CISA. It was St. Giles. So you had all of our players go to St. Giles for all those years. And then the Anderson Kickers was formed, and then Trinity Soccer was formed, and then the South Carolina Strikers was formed, and then the DSA was formed. And then DSA ended up moving to Greenville and then kind of scalping Anderson back. And then Clemson Soccer started, and then Anderson started again, and then they became CASA. I don't really have the right answer to be able to say what makes it so special, but what I can say is there's a lot of soccer history in Anderson and Clemson. I do feel like that the Clemson University's success from 1984 to 1987 to 2000, I think it was 12 or 2000, the latest two they've won. That that has helped a lot. I think I am Ibrahim when he was alive and he was here. He formed South Carolina Strikers. He was a major entity of being able to grow youth sports. And Tre has just gained steam from there. I mean, it's just been something that's been a staple in our area. It's been a staple to homes and families throughout our community. And like when I first started, like I said, it was a recreational club. That's all it was a recreational club. So, it's taken a little bit of time and a lot of like work from the other coaches and parents and players to be able to get it to where we actually are a mid-tier club now in the state. And the reason why we're not a top-tier club is we don't have 1,000+ kids. We don't have the facilities for 1,000+ kids. I would love to be able to have more room to be able to grow our brand. But what makes it special is the people, the players, the families, the history. For me, I grew up playing on those Michelin fields. I grew up in this area. I think that separates me from every director that's ever been here, is that I'm invested interest not only in the game, but every single young person in our area, just because the coaches I had made such an impact on me. And I think the difference now is I don't want it to be when they graduate, we're done. I felt like my coach when I was done, when I graduated, he kind of let me go, and I made some dumb decisions that I needed guidance then, more than I needed it maybe at the time I was playing. So I'm trying to do a better job of staying connected with our players when they do graduate, when they do start facing adverse situations outside of their families. That way we can kind of guide them. That's what makes our community special right there, is like we're not just cutting them loose and letting their wings just flap and hope they hit the ground. We're trying to keep them in the air.
Let's talk about the coaches at our club and what makes CASA and Electric City coaches so different than other clubs, both in the upper state and just the world of soccer in general.
Oh man, this one's easy. The relationships our coaches build, what separates us apart. I mean, you have Carl Casita, been around the game a long time. Coaches girls, coaches boys, coached at Hillcrest, Dale Man, Berea. Now he's coaching the girls at Pendleton. I think he brings a wealth of knowledge. I think that he connects with the players really well. You have someone like Hutch Novacek from New Jersey. He's been with our club 2 years. He's pretty much our main trainer at ECFC. The intensity that man brings is hands down, bar none. Some of the most intense. I mean, I thought I was intense. You don't have players beg for me to train them, so he don't train them. So, dude's an animal. He's not one of those ones that's going to be, connect with the player as much. He's going to be the one that drives the nail. And then you have someone like Raven Ashe, which is our goalkeeper director, brings youth, brings experience in life, brings knowledge about life that he can cast to the player, help them through different things in life, whether it be soccer, family, school, girls, boys, whatever it may be. Tre, what separates us is that we're a family and we treat each other like family. And not every family, not every kid, not every parent's gonna feel that way, because you can't make everybody happy. But some of those families, don't even take the time to get to know us. They just cast this guess of what we are. I mean, people see me from the outside. They see me, I'm loud, I'm brash, I'm confident. They think I'm but they don't know who I am. They see me outside of the game. I'm a soft teddy bear, dude. But I'm not going to let you see that. I want you to see me be rough. I want you to see me be brash, and because that's the mantra I want to put off. I don't want you to see that that you can talk to me and have conversation with me outside, and I can cry, I can be emotional. Those are things that I feel like separate us, because we do let our guards down behind closed doors, and we get to see what people. It's not about just the game, Trey. Like yourself. Think about all the time that you take away from. You could be spending time with your wife or spending time with your parents, that you're investing in these players, in this brand that we're trying to create, helping me, helping the club, helping the players, taking time off Friday and Saturday night, trying to make sure players get moved. Those are things any other club, they say, don't bother me after Wednesday at 5 o'clock. You're just done. No, I mean, that just separates us. We're going to make sure your player gets the play unless we either A, make a mistake, because we are human, or B, somebody stops us outside of our entity. That's the only two ways that your child's not going to get to play, unless you just don't pay. I mean, so I would just say, the relationships that our coaches build, we have Thomas Izaguirre that does a good job. We have Wilbert Perez that does a good job. And these kids, Thomas played at Westside, Wilbert played at Berea. These kids came from this community, came from this area, and they're wanting to give back to the player. And I coach Thomas, Carl coached Wilbur, so you can see what we're trying to cast out there. And these two young men are leading that charge and doing a really good job of that. And there's a ton of other coaches that do a good job as well. Those are just some of the youth and some of the older ones that pull the strings.
Yeah, so I mean, I from Ohio, played at Ohio Strikers United. They're a club that is kind of like us, kind of, in that 400-ish player range. And I can tell you that there is a significant difference in the entire upstate soccer realm, but just the culture, especially in our two clubs here, that is just not in soccer in the northern states. I mean, it is. I coached at SWU, and we would go and recruit over in Raleigh. We went and recruited one of the New England teams, New England FC, and they directed the college coaches to go speak directly to the players and didn't want to give us any information, didn't have a manager with cards or anything like that. And obviously with your group that just went, that we created the recruiting profiles. And so, I mean, if there is anybody looking for a club that is going to take you to the next level, both as a person and as a player, I mean, there's no better in this area than our two clubs for sure.
I agree with that. I think that we're just different. I think that's what, I mean, you can go get the same thing at 3 or 4 other different clubs. We're just different. And, I think the biggest thing is, the biggest label that we get is that we're going to fight for our player. And I'm not talking about physical fight. I'm talking about we're going to stand up for our kid. We're going to have their back, and we're going to put them in situations that they can grow and they feel supported. And that's the biggest thing that I think that separates us from other people right now.
All right, so moving to this next segment here, this is something that you and I go back and forth on, all right? So we've got some trivia questions to go over with you. We're going to do 3 questions, one easy, one medium, and one a little bit tougher, all right? And we'll see if I can stump you on these. You ready for that?
I hear you, man.
Okay. All right, for the first one, all right, which country has won the most FIFA World Cups?
I mean, obviously, we're not talking about United States.
Well, that's true. We are not talking about the United States.
The U.S. is out.
Nope, not the U.S.
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Brazil, but I'll say this: I wonder if they count West Germany's titles as Germany titles.
I can't tell you on the research that I did. Brazil was the correct answer, so we'll go with that. I'm not sure about West Germany.
So you know they did that, did you? It
No.
was West Germany and East Germany a long time ago.
Yeah,
In the World Cup, it was split like that, and then they made it German. So I wonder if because
West Germany was winning them.
West Germany was good back then, man.
Well, I can't tell you on that one, but Brazil is the answer. It's the answer that
That's
I got
the answer you're looking for.
Yeah,
right?
that's the answer I'm
Okay.
looking for. All right, for the medium one, we're going to go a little bit more recent. What do you know? The 3 teams in the Premier League that are fighting for first place right now. The top 3 teams.
Well, of course, I know one of them. I mean, it's Arsenal,
Yeah,
the best team in the world, arguably. Obviously, Man City.
Yep, they're sitting in second. Do you know the third one?
I mean, I really don't want to give them much credit, to be honest with you, Trey, because I feel like they have the Illuminati on their side this year. But since Carrick's taken over, he's got those boys playing. I'm going to say United.
That is...
Is that wrong? Or is it Villa? Did Villa just jump them?
We'll check as of today because I don't want to tell you wrong here.
Villa might have jumped them. That'd be the only other one.
Yeah, I don't want to be wrong. You are correct. It is Man United. So Arsenal, Manchester City, Man United. Man United did. They are currently sitting tied at 51 points with Aston Villa. They are beating them on goal differential.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's Illuminati.
It's been a crazy turnaround. Now we know that we got a coach in the club, a couple of them that are big Man United fans.
Yeah, I know. They've been talking a lot of smack.
All right. For the harder one, okay, we're going to give you one. He played for Arsenal, played for your team as a goalkeeper. All right. Do you know the player with the most clean sheets in Premier League history? This was a harder one, so
I'm going to say Peter Cech.
That's right. Yes, the helmet man himself. Yes, Peter Cech has the most Premier League clean sheets in history. Well, got all 3. All right. Well, we appreciate you watching the run of play today. This is something that we're going to start. We're going to do it weekly, and we're going to make sure that we are getting you information and helping our community stay informed about soccer, both in this area and abroad. Obviously, we're connected with a couple different clubs in the area, and we're going to keep you informed on those as well. Next week, we'll have our first guest. We're keeping that a secret until next week, so you'll have to stay tuned to check that out. But we hope you enjoyed everything, and we look forward to seeing you next week.